Well, hello there. Good morning, welcome, or good day, good evening, good afternoon, good night, whatever time of day it may be when you're watching this. Hello and welcome. It's Wednesday, it's the 18th of August 2021. It's grey outside, and I'm drawing the template for the Angela Porter's Colouring Book Fans Facebook group for tomorrow. And I've recorded twice. First time, well, I thought I'd recorded first time, so I'd done part of this and realised, oh, I didn't capture the. I'm just checking I actually turned the recording on, and I have. The second time I recorded a lot more, but I've done about 2 hours work, I think it is so far. Or, yeah, it's probably about 2 hours work, and I recorded it and whittled away, chatted away about myself drawing, and realised I hadn't turned the microphone on. I'm having a day. Anyway, this week's template, as you can see, is a typically entangled one. Move that out of the way. It's typically my art, typically me, and there's a lot of my favourite shapes and patterns and motifs in here. So I'm going to carry on drawing, hopefully keeping it in frame of the camera so you can see what's doing. I can't even find my words, but I thought it'd been, the last couple of weeks I've done templates that are Doodle World style, very cute and whimsical, but it's nice. Not everybody likes them. I like them, and I think that Doodle World style is one of my artistic voices, just one of them. May not be the loudest, but it's one. And I enjoy using cute and whimsical creatures in my art and images. It is fun. But every now and again I like to do something that's perhaps a little bit more, I suppose, serious. I say every now and again. This is the bread and butter of my art that expresses me in a different, in the more arty kind of way. Doodle Worlds are more of an illustrative kind of way, I suppose. For the colouring books, it's like Whimsical Cats is quite, the drawings for the Whimsical Cats book are more illustrative than they are artistic. I suppose there's a story in them, whereas there's no real story in this other than, oh, Angela created it. What's she trying to say? Well, she's not trying to say anything other than, I like these things. I think they look pretty together. I find the shapes interesting. They make my arty heart smile. And I'm all about trying to bring a little bit more beauty into this world. There's plenty of artists out there who are able to make social commentary and to create art that has an important message about them, their relationship with the world, or how they want to change the world. Me, I just want it to be a prettier place, really. And there's nothing wrong with that. I tend to gravitate towards more abstract art anyway. And this is abstract. It's not a representation of anything, although elements of it, the motifs, are taken from things that may be realistic, may exist in reality. I'm not so sure about these hanging things. I'm sure there must be plants that look like this, that have leaves that hang. There may be some kind of succulent-y type thing that grows this way. I like plants, but I'm not an expert on them. If I know what they are, I know what they are. Interesting fact about me is I quite enjoy, from time to time, digging into not the folklore of plants to a degree, but more to do with the ethnopharmacology of them. Big word. Folk medicine, sort of like traditional cures and things, and the history of how plants were used and where they get their names from and things like that. it pleases me in some way, it fascinates me, but then I'm curious about a lot of things. Not consistently about each thing, so I don't dig and dive into one and become fixated on it for an extended period of time. I sort of get excited by something for a while, and then before I know it, I need to move along again, or something else has caught my attention. Because my brain is a bit sparkly and a bit like a grasshopper, it tends to flit around a bit like a butterfly. But that's who I am, and that is what my brain is like. But if I'm curious about something, I never lose my curiosity in it, and I will wander back to it. Which is, something I find really interesting. When I'm deciding what else I want to do here, I've got an idea. I do need to turn this book page though. Oh, do you know what? I'm going to take this page out. I don't like working on the table. It's a bit hard, but it'll do. It just makes it so much easier to turn this all around. Okay. Tell you what I'm going to do here. Okay, let's have a look. One of the shapes I love are ginkgo leaves. I used to go to Neath once a week. Neath is a town in South Wales here in the UK. And I used to go there once a week for an appointment. And opposite where I had my appointment, there was a lovely park called Victoria Park. And it took me ages to realise it. But it wasn't till autumn that once in the autumn, that I saw these characteristic familiar leaves on the ground, blown down over the weekend. So my appointments were usually on a Monday. Were ginkgo leaves, and there was a ginkgo tree there. And once I realised that, well, I paid lots of attention to it. That is a very, very bent stem for this one. But you know what? That's fine. I can work with that. I can. Because what I can do is to have another one coming off, like so. I've said often before, I think it was Bob Ross said, there's no accidents in art, there's no mistakes in art, only happy accidents. And there's no mistakes in art, there's only creative opportunities, and that's what I have happening here is a creative opportunity, I think, to do something a little bit different from perhaps what I would ordinarily do with such things. So yeah, so once I realised that, I was absolutely fascinated, and I think my only regret is I never picked any of those leaves up to bring them home with me. Mind you, from what I remember, when I saw them, it was a really soggy day. And when I was there the next time I was there for an appointment the next week, there was no sign of these leaves at all. So I was a bit gutted there were none there then. But it was still lovely. Of course, they feature a lot in. I associate them with Art Deco jewellery and the kinds of shapes you see in Art Deco. I think if you turn them the other way up, the way I'm drawing things here, they look a bit like the lotus flowers you find in ancient Egyptian art. And that's something that's fascinated me. So it's nothing. Okay, where are we going with that? Oh, down here, I think. Is it? This is where dots are useful on the page because I can keep track of where all of these lines are going. ish. And yet I'm creating layers. The other thing I'm doing is I'm making use of these to split the background up, because I get overwhelmed if I have a large empty space. I do not know quite what to do with an empty space in art. It's true. It's why I don't always leave an empty space, because I just don't know what to do with it. I am learning that I can put little motifs in there. I can break it up in different ways, which is what I do like to do. If you're familiar with books that I do, there'd often be a time in the colouring books where I'd split sky up, using, if there were lots of stars, I'd use the stars as a way to split the sky up, almost like it's stained glass, by joining the stars with lines, and to create that kind of feeling of stained glass, because I would just be overwhelmed with it. But I'm asked not to do, I'm asked not to do that. I suggest I don't do that in every drawing I have. And of course, the templates aren't necessarily for me to draw, to colour in. They're for me to draw. They're for other people to colour in mostly. So suggestions the editors make are good ones. They know what's their market, or the people that they aim the books at like, I suppose. Get feedback in a way perhaps I don't, and pass on helpful advice and suggestions that I'm happy to act upon, because obviously the aim is to sell the books, and it's also to have a lot of variety in a book. So if I was to split every sky up in a stained glass kind of way, it'd be, everything would end up looking a little bit samey. So anyway, so this is a nice way of splitting parts of the sky up. Oh, that is a very, very drifty kind of stem there, but that's okay, because I will perhaps do another one of these, because I can. Interesting, I haven't got any going off the other way, have I? Not yet. Depends how far over I go with this. So much easier to use the book, or the paper without the book underneath it. It's easier to turn it around, to be honest. So all right, this one can look like it's trying to decide whether I just make it look like it's just extending there, or whether I go there. Could be all right, actually. Quite heavy-handed with the black, but it'll work. Maybe wondering what the pencil lines are in around the edge, because I'm sort of trying to work out how I'm going to create a border or an edge for this, because I don't particularly want to have a rigid border. I want things to spill outside of it. So at the top here, you see the sort of frame or a border and edge is underneath these, because I quite fancy having the idea of things spilling outside. So the same would be the case here, except I'm getting into a right muddle here. So with these, oh, I haven't sorted those ones out. Right, that's okay. Caught it. here. It's okay. So it is just a case of seeing how things will work out. That'd be nice. And I may end up not paying attention to that whatsoever, which is more than likely because I have the ideas like this, and when it comes to executing them, you think this isn't going to work. And I think it would have worked nicely if I hadn't chosen to put these here, because all the lines on the stems of these, but we'll see how it goes. I mean, they're making a nice edge all on their own, so it may be that I just pay attention to this. This is the line here that I would have had that border, that edge in, and just to make sure that I have it's okay, because that then looks like it's okay. So I want that. That'd be okay. I'll just tidy it up. So I fancy a nice big one here, because that will take me down to where the bottom one I would like to be, although that can change. I can always make it that little bit more sort of like one space up would work quite nicely actually. So this is beginning to happen here. So what I'm going to do here is I am going to put that in, and I'm going to take it along here as well, and here and here and there and there. And I know I want to grow this side over here, so I'm going to come back to that. I'm going to leave that as it is, because I will want to make this almost a double line to help it. I say that, I most probably won't, but we'll have a look now. Okie dokes, because I've got this area to do, and then I'll work out, will I? Yeah, not sure. If in doubt, start adding fillers in. Little filler shapes that help to bring everything together here and split large areas up and make things a bit more logical in some ways perhaps. I'm aware when I'm creating I often have a more sparkly brain than usual, and I really do have a sparkly mind. Okay, what am I going to do now? Let's just move over here a little bit and see what happens here, because I am filling lots of little gaps up with black here, because it will help you, if you're colouring this in, I think, to see where different sections are, but it also saves a lot of frustration trying to get colour into a tiny space. I know these aren't tiny spaces, but they are going to help in separating those stems out, I think, aren't they? And of course, naturally, I've created a tiny space there. So there you are. I've just done exactly the opposite of what I was hoping to do. Yeah. I think there's tiny spaces and then there's tiny spaces. So there's that tiny space. There's nothing to stop. That's that's okay. That gives a nice bold separation here, I think. Should work nicely. And I like to but certainly in this one I'm thinking about how to bring things together, and using these kinds of motifs scattered throughout helps to, I think, tie things together in a way. Perhaps not. Okay, let me have a look. Now that was completely unexpected there. I did not expect that shape to appear, but it's done it. And by that shape I mean this little V shape here. That was not an intended kind of thing. As in, I didn't stop and think about it. It just seemed like a good idea at the time, so I'm going to go with it. Adds a bit more interest to it all, I think. Adding interest and pattern is something else that is very characteristic of me in my work, I think. I do love patterns and textures, and I think I use pattern as a texture often. I don't know. I say I don't know a lot because I'm still trying to. I talk about my art a lot more than I ever have done via vlogs. So you get to hear me think about things and question what I'm doing myself, and to try to explain it and understand myself what I am actually doing here, or what I'm trying to do here. Never really had much of an opportunity to talk about the art I do, and talking is quite different for me than thinking or writing. My thoughts come out in a different kind of way. So vlogging has been a valuable experience for me because it's made me have to stop and get all of this stuff out of my head that goes on when I'm creating art and I'm not even aware of what I'm doing. Which sounds crazy, but I'm not. I don't stop and think in words about what I'm doing. I don't often stop and think about what I'm doing in art. I just do it. I'm a very intuitive kind of artist in that sense, where I know what I need to do. I know I may have an idea of what kinds of patterns and motifs I'd like to use, or at least what to start with. But then I have no idea how everything is going to pan out for me. It just happens. Or rather, it doesn't, because there must be some kind of process going on in my head. And this is where the two styles of thinking, or self-talk, or self-thinking come in. Is that the only time I'm really aware of my thoughts is if I'm beating myself up, or I'm having to think about something in terms of words. So if I'm thinking about what I'm going to say to somebody, or what I need to say in an email, or if I've got to phone up to make an appointment, I rehearse what I'm going to say before I actually make the call. so that I've got, I feel confident in speaking to somebody. But when it comes to what I'm doing when I'm being creative, or where I'm sat somewhere experiencing the world, watching the world go by, or whatever it may be, I'm not often aware of what thought processes are going on. In the same way, when I learn things, I don't seem to sit and think and mull things over or think things over in the way that other people seem to. And that always caused me a lot of concern when I was in school and university, because people seem to give a lot of thought to things. And I never seemed to. And I thought there was something wrong with me, or that, why I can never understand how I understood things without knowing how I understood them. I don't know if that makes any sense at all, but since discovering this gem of information, where psychologists have looked at different self-talk or thinking styles of people, then suddenly it all makes sense to me anyway. And I think, yeah, abstract, symbolic, metaphoric, that's me. And the thoughts that are going on, I'm not aware of unless I am forced to talk about them. And of course, doing a vlog means I'm forced to talk about it. I don't do this every day, because some days I just think I'm just going to blather on about life and stuff that is just faff and isn't relevant to art or to the channel. And some days it's where I've been talking, and I've realised that I've been talking about all of this stuff that, as I've said, is inconsequential in terms of art anyway. And I get onto things that are perhaps a bit too personal and things that I don't really think belong on my YouTube channel, because it's not art related particularly, and I'm not here to create social commentary or political commentary or anything like that. I think sometimes I need to talk about these things, which is why it creeps out then. So those are the days where you're more likely to get a time lapse. Today you're going to get a vlog and I'm going to try and stick to art. So doing a vlog has been really good for me. And in yesterday's vlog, I think I've mentioned that I'm reading a book by Lisa Condon about artistic style. And of course, she's put there into words things that perhaps have been wandering around in my head in a different kind of way. And have a look. But it's having the words to latch the thoughts onto, because I've never really, I haven't done any formal education in art beyond A-level art here in the UK, which is A-level is what students usually do in the year they're coming up to 18. I was a lot older because I did it while I was teaching in my 40s. And so I just went with, I gained confidence in what I was doing, and I just went with it and was posting what I did on DeviantArt at the time. Not anywhere else really. Yeah, sometimes on Facebook, but I wasn't really doing much in terms of social media. And social media wasn't such a big thing then anyway. I'm just working and developing what I enjoyed doing myself for just because I could. And then my first editor, Janine, and I say first editor because she was the first person who approached me, and within a couple of weeks somebody else had, and then someone else and somebody else. Because they found my work on DeviantArt and had seen it, liked it, and wanted me to do, asked if I'd do colouring books for grown-ups, and that's where all of this took off from. And the first books were the Colour Me books with Lacey Mucklow, an art therapist. So she did the words, and I did the illustrations, the drawings, the colouring templates that went with it. And there was an awful lot to do in each book, it has to be said. But it was fun. And then Jason from Dover at the time, he was in touch in a couple of weeks, and it turns out he and Janine were really good friends. But she had crowing rights, she said, because she got to me first. And they found it hilarious that they both had decided to work. But the kinds of work I did for each were very different. For Dover, I had a very broad kind of remit. So, we decided the title of the book. The first book was Entangled, so it was my typical Entangled designs, and so I could go with what I wanted to do. Whereas with the Colour Me books, it was very much, I was given a list of illustrations and ideas for each chapter to fit in with what Lacey had written. So I had leeway as to what I did. So, there were some things that I worked out how to, I had to work out things that were things I was capable of, or that I was confident in doing, and doing things in a different way. And there was a lot of abstract work there. But the same token, though, it pushed my limits in other ways, because I had to, there were templates where I had to draw people. I don't like drawing people. It's not a skill that I have, and it's not something I actually have an interest in. Surprisingly, perhaps, or perhaps not. The only time that I've enjoyed drawing people is life drawing. But then it's all about drawing shapes rather than people. As it's when the light's right and it hits the human body, the patterns that are made are very architectural in nature. So my architectural head went on. So it's quite different for me to actually create or to draw from observing the human form without clothes. Always back to architecture, arches, to light and shadow and contrast, which tends to be how I like to colour things. Although I do tend towards monochrome, but monochrome is still that use of light and shadow. Getting ink on me, I'm just hoping I'm not smudging this too much. I wouldn't have thought so. And here I am going with these shapes like weird seeds or washers, something like that. They're not weird shapes at all. The weird shapes are over there. Thicken that, I need to do something with this too. That's a bit better. So I'm still trying to work out lot about my artistic style. I do apologise for pauses, but you can tell I am thinking here, paying attention to art. So when I'm drawing, my ability to think goes out of the window, quite literally, in some ways. And here's something else that I seem to do. I'm not happy if I've got an even number of things generally. Now, how many of these have I got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ooh. It's okay though. They're all close together and overlapping. It's not so easy to try to separate them out. But these wingy, leafy things, so they do look a bit like wings sticking out, but they also look like parts of feathers as well. Don't they? So there we go. Well, that's got a completely different feel to it. That's interesting because I made the lines here a lot more vertical, or not vertical, 90 degrees to the other ones. Got some very thick lines there. I can adjust those digitally though. It's something I will do. And I just realised I need to do something here about these because they aren't standing out perhaps as much as they should. It's the thing, if I start thickening one line, I need to go through and thicken all of them, don't I? Consistency, Angela, consistency. And as I tend to use things like this as part of the patterns, then it's important for me to be consistent. Okay, let's add some stuff here. Arches are one of my favourite things to draw, along with spirals. I've only got one spiral here though, which is down here. So I will need to do some more of those, I suspect, somewhere. But I do love an arch, and a rounded arch. Pointy arches, which are Gothic ones, are quite nice. Don't get me wrong, you know. I'm not averse to a Gothic arch here and there, but I much prefer the rounded Romanesque type ones. Okay, so I need to put a pattern in here. I do have favourite patterns that I use again and again and again. And part of me thinks, oh, this is boring. Getting the same thing again and again. To a degree, yes. But I'm also aware that this is what I like. These are things that I like to draw and I like to use in my work. They're patterns that please me for whatever reason. And it's got nothing to do with simplicity of drawing. Sometimes I think it is. They're simple because I'm familiar with them. It's like over here, this one is very much from early Celtic art. And I love it. And I've managed to work out how to do it in a simple way. Whereas it took me a long while to work that. And I think sort of like digging and delving into Zentangle helped me with this kind of thing of repeating patterns. But, you know, you've got triangles here and these overlapping arches or like scales almost. I know that's used in Zentangle. What's it called? Is it Shattuck? I don't know. Shattuck? Something like that. But then we've got things like this where there's almost like little windows through a pipe. And the seeds here. You know, these random lines are something else I like to use. Over here it's almost like bits of machinery, cogs or parts of wheels or whatever. And then just simple square sections. And these little rounded arches within a rounded arch. Heck, why not? These are becoming a very familiar or common thing in my work, is where I've got arches that just sit or float or seem to be attached by one end to something else. Why? I don't know. It's just because they've appeared and I like what's happening with them. And it's who I am. It's what I am. It's how art works for me. Okie doke. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to carry this on. I'm going to bring that there. And then I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, yeah, do I go round outside? Have a look. So if I go outside here or inside, inside would make more sense. So I am going to create this border here. Oops. And yeah, it goes in and out, but I'm human and I'm drawing this just the aids of these dots, and with everything else around the dots, that really gets complicated. I wish I hadn't done that now. Over here it's really, really complex. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to shade it a little bit just to help with some of these. That'd work. That's okay there. That'll work okay. And then we've got this one here and that's fine. Yeah, that'll be okay. That was the confusing bit there, so I'll just take that and shade it like that. Okie dokes, so let's go up here and then there, and that takes it underneath. Got anywhere else? Yep, there is one, and there as well, and there, just to help separate those. I will do that, and I will also colour that in. If this was for me personally, I wouldn't worry about leaving those blank because I would understand what I've done and why I'm doing that. This here I'm doing for consistency of approach, because it then looks like, okay, that's deliberate. And it is deliberate, but it's deliberate in a way that repeats as well. And if I pop a little one in here, that helps there with, you can see that line going through now, which is nice. And I'm just going to add a couple more of these here, essentially because I can, but also it gives me that opportunity to just bring that there. That works quite nicely. It does. And people will work this out. I hope they will anyway. And what I may very well do is just thicken one of these perhaps a little bit more, just to help with the flow. I think it's this one that will need it more than the other one. I could be wrong, I could be making a right pig's ear of all of this, but I'm sure people will let me know if I've made a big mistake here. Hopefully not. You know, my temptation would be, if this was me personally, I would just fill this background here with black and be done with it. Have all of this sat on top of a huge black thing, but I'm not going to do that because I've not finished. Oh, typical. Look what I've done. Yep, the pen. Okay, so let's go back up to here and see what I can do here. I do want to do something like, I say like over here, but it's not going to be like over here, because I am aware that I want patterns and so on to go out to the edge in a way. So arches to go to this edge, because it will give a nice edge here without having the line, a distinct line. I don't even know whether this is going to work. By the time this gets scanned in digitally, there could be a lot of stuff disappear. Oh yeah, this border may disappear. I don't know. Is it working? I'm sure somebody here will tell me. Somebody will tell me, yes, it works. Or no, it doesn't. Oh, I wish I hadn't done that, Angela. I'm telling myself that. Okay, so that's one of those lines. Carries that line up there. But what I may... I've done it now, so I can't change that really. Okay, so let's do some boxes there. And for these, I'm going to just pop some circles in the centre. Really simple, but it works, doesn't it? And if I make the top of them just a little bit thicker, they'll look like they're holes. And did I do it down there somewhere? Yeah. Over here, instead of simple lines, I just put that black triangle there and it looks like you've got a little cutout there. Do it the other side actually, that would make it quite nice. A bit on the different side there, doesn't it? I could do it with these. Would work nicely. Part of me thinks, oh, perhaps it would... No, let's not go there. Okay, and then this one, what do I do here? I'm going to do some boxes again. But what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to draw some triangles there, because I like triangles. This is 47 minutes so far, so I think I'm going to carry on with the vlog, just to complete this. Now then, trying to think how I want to complete, because here I've got something that goes right down here. I haven't. So let me have a look. So I think what I may do here is add some vertical sections, perhaps. Now that one will tie in with that there. But the next one, because this is the outside line, this one will be the inside one. So I'm going to ignore that, but I'm going to make something much broader here with a wobbly edge. Not deliberately wobbly, it's just how it got drawn. Me and my wobbly hands. I'll do. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do things like that and have a look. Tidy these up here. And then we're going to do something that's a little bit on the more mechanical side. or less organic, perhaps would be a better way of describing it. So that's nice. Yeah, that'll work, especially if I make that there. And then let's have a cut out piece there. And then lots of layers. If somebody chooses to go with the layers there, things to look through. And we'll just thicken that line a bit there. That works, I think. Okay. That works nicely. And then what I'm going to do is I'll drop this particular line down by one, and I've gone and done it again. I've managed to draw across there. So I'm going to do that now while I think about it, follow it through. There. There. And it goes across to, let me have a look. So it's this one here, isn't it? Is it? Yeah. So this here, up here, up here, up here. Yeah, I've got it in the right place. So that is the outside one. So if I'm going to do the inner one, I'm going to do that there. I'm going to colour that in black because that will help this to stand out. And then I can just do that there. And as this one is the thicker one, oh gosh, really not having a good time here. That will give me that kind of a, yeah. Does that work? I don't know. It is what it is. This I will do something here because that looks a bit odd. But let's have a look first, because this was something I wanted to do something with as well. Just about off the camera, sorry. There we go. And then just a bit how am I going to make this? That one is there and there, so this one will be there and there. Well, it'll work itself out. We've got some interesting shapes going on here, haven't I? So I am going to add some more interest here. This is new to me. I've not done this before. Well, not in this kind of way anyway. So I'm stretching the boundaries there just a tad. And I think that I definitely need to do something here because this, I don't know, this seems to be just stuck out, doesn't it? So I think what the best thing I can do perhaps is to do a couple of mini arches. Where it will all just, the rest then will hide behind here perhaps. It will. There we go, and let's just put some circles in that one. work there, I think. Okie dokes. That'll work nicely. There we go. And then let's have a look. So I'm going to sprinkle some of these around as if they are falling, floating, but they will help to make something of the outside space. I'll suggest to people, oh, you could do something outside here, perhaps. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure whether this is working or not. Possibly it is. The lowest ones are here, so if I drop a small one here, that'll work. And then here, my table is awful to draw on. But it is better than the book. Just in terms of my ability to get everything there. Apologise if my head gets in the way. I have an awful habit of getting my nose so close. Work, fills that little gap in. So I may even put a sneaky one in here. What comes to mind is the in Lord of the Rings, the book, I think, is at Bilbo's birthday party. I think it was, where they talk about the hobbits at the end of the big feast, the party, of being at that stage, that happy stage of sitting around and just filling up the corners with little bits of food and drink. And that's where I'm getting to here. There are spaces that need filling in. This does here. And I am tempted to carry on with my ginkgo leaves, my ginkgo leaf type motifs, because that would be coherent here. And I'm up to 58 minutes. So it's a long video today. Sorry. Well, not sorry. I don't know. Okay, let's have a look. There we go. So there's no such thing as an accident, you know, as a mistake. There's only happy accidents, and in the grand scheme of things, as I'm going to edit things digitally, it just so happens that this one just fell where that little mark was. Nothing I can do about the one at the top. That's going to have to be removed digitally, I'm afraid, but that's okay. That's fine. I can do that. That was a nice idea. I quite like the shape on this. Again, it's that idea of splitting the space up, making more interesting shapes there. You can tell I've been off drawing other things because the shapes of these are a bit different, but that's okay. It's nature as well. And then perhaps if I do the leaf where I want it, rather than trying to work out where to put the stem, I'm going to be intrigued to see how people approach these little spaces, if they're just going to colour it all in one colour, or whether they're going to take them as an opportunity to perhaps create something that is a bit stained glass. I don't know, is the honest answer. I'm just going to be intrigued to see what people do. I don't spend a huge amount of time in the Angela Porter's Colouring Book Fans Facebook group because I try not to spend too much time on social media generally, because it's filled with news and goodness knows what and things going on in the world, and it can get to me quite a bit. And so I do just like to space here for another cheeky one. So I try not to. I mean, the Facebook group's a lovely place to be, but everybody on there's so lovely. But I do try every week to look, when I post the template, I take time afterwards to look through all the work that's been posted in that week and to leave some kind of comment. Often it's, you know, very visual, a pile of hearts or a bunch of flowers or something to say, you know, well done and what have you. That works nicely, doesn't it? That worked out. This is all a bit, yeah, I wish I hadn't. What I might do here is actually, yeah, I think that's something I'm going to do here is I'll clean this up here so it's just a that strand goes up there. I'll alter that. Here I could do with a couple more of these, I think. But yeah, so every week I try to take the time. Some weeks I forget, or that I've got so many other things to do that it's just not possible. My mind's on other things and I forget. But I try to go and look every week and see what people have been up to. And it's always beautiful what people post. So different as well. Everybody's different. Even in the realm of colouring, we have things that give people that opportunity to be different, to be themselves. Even with the same template, the different ways that people approach the template is amazing. And it's also lovely to see what people do and how they bring the templates to life, because I don't really have that amount of time. You can see I'm going to be doing some editing here, aren't I? I don't have the time to add colour to all of my art as it is. I always try to do some colouring on the templates to show, because I think that's important. It gives people ideas perhaps, or ways of adding shadow and contrast to get depth. Again, this is the beauty of digital arts, is being able to edit. What I draw. Once I've scanned it in. That's nice because this echoes these down here, which shows they can grow in any direction you'd like them to grow in, really. And just fills this space up nicely then. Oh gosh, that's a bit thick, that line. It's okay though. It's in keeping with the others. Okie dokes, so that'll be alright. So 3 here, and just to complete this off, let's add this here. I was talking about artistic style and the way that you draw or paint or colour as being a fingerprint. It's interesting how, as I begin to see people work more and more often, I can often spot who's who. I've got a good idea who that person's art is. Not just in the way that they colour, but their choice of colours as well. And the choice of medium that they use. How's that looking? Is that working? What do you think? I'm not entirely sure. Has to be said, I'm not entirely sure. But I know that once I've got it in and I start adding colour, which is what I'm going to do before I do any social media posts today. Here's my plan of getting a shower and going out for a walk soon, out the window. But I think that may just possibly work. I'll tell you what I'm going to do here as well. So I'm going to add some little circles as if it's pollen spilling down, and I can do that from under here as well. My circles aren't very good now. Same here perhaps. Just to add something a bit different or a bit extra here. I mean, logically I should have little piles of it at the bottom, but I'm not working logically. I'm just adding little things, little bits and bobs in where it makes sense to, where there's space to. That'll confuse the heck out of everybody now, won't it? And my very last job is to add my initials. Because somebody asked me to do so, because they look for them to find out whether it was a template by me or not by me. I don't know what you think about this one. I'm taking my glasses off so I can have a look at it from a distance. It's different to what I would normally do, but it's still me and it's still recognisable as me. It's over an hour that I've been recording. I've actually been working on this for, it's got to be 3 hours. Nearly, no. Yeah, 3 hours. And you've just got an hour of it. And yeah, so I hope you've enjoyed. I will probably put a time lapse up because I have got a recording of the second part that I recorded. The first part I thought I'd recorded and I hadn't. It's just not go there today. And so I shall see what happens, but whatever else you do today, please look after yourselves. Please take care. Please find time to be creative, whatever creativity means to you. And I hope to see you back again. And if you've persevered through to the end of the video, Well done. Yes, brilliant. No prizes, but leave a comment to say you did, because it'd be lovely to know. But please take care, look after yourselves, and I'll speak again soon. Bye bye for now.